Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Disney Saratoga Springs. We're wandering around here this morning. I wanted to chat with you about a few things and I figured we could kind of enjoy the resort. It's bright and early, so it's the perfect time to just stroll and relax. Also, I haven't had my coffee yet, so I figure we're gonna go to Artist Palette and get a coffee there. I don't know what they have, if I'm being completely honest with you. They've got to have something delicious, right? So let's wander through and go get some caffeine to start our day. There are so many things that I want to talk to you about today. I had mentioned in one of our last discussions that this was a crazy week. My schedule was all over the place, and that is definitely true. But I didn't tell you why. I will tell you why today as we wander. But just for your reference before we actually get into our conversation. So this is the pathway that walks essentially from Disney Springs, which is across the way. Walks from Disney Springs all the way to what will ultimately be Disney's Old Key West. But this walks like through the resort and you can walk all the way down to the tree houses from here. But this is also where the drone show takes place, kind of down the way. But yeah, so now you know what you're looking at as we get our day started here. We do have the boats docked over here. I'm not sure if they're docked elsewhere. Yeah, they're kind of docked back there as well because they're not running now because of the low water levels. So it's just part of what's going on right now here at Disney Springs. That hasn't changed even with all the rain that we've been getting. Anyway, first things first. Schedule's been a little crazy because I've got some family visiting right now. So they're doing their thing. I had to help them out, get settled, and that means that I haven't spent as much time in the theme parks as I normally would. Not a big deal. We'll be back on track here in the next couple days. We also haven't been spending as much time in the parks because we've had some terrible weather. It's been super duper hot. There's been like this heat dome thing going on here in Florida, which essentially means, I've never heard that term before, but it essentially means that there's like a lot of heat stuck in the area that is where we are. So even though we've got a little bit of breeze, at least today, it's been even hotter than usual. So kind of dangerous conditions outside, severe like heat advisories and everything. So we haven't been spending that much time out. And then there's been the storms. Lots of storms recently, lots of thunder and lightning and heavy rain. Not as much rain as we need though, so that kind of sucks, but it's supposed to rain like all week, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. First and foremost, we've made our way down the path to where the lights are for the drone show, and I wanted to give you a closer look. So, the drone show that happens at Disney Springs, and you can see it from here at Saratoga Springs, it happens kind of in this general vicinity. And one little tidbit of news that we may or may not have talked about, I can't remember now, is that there was a fence that went up over here, and I don't know if this is that fence. This doesn't look as temporary as the fence that we originally saw, but maybe it's just because we were looking at it from across the water. But there's also like lighting elements here, and you can see them kind of lining this whole way. And that's because these buildings do get lit up during the drone show. Now, I haven't seen the drone show from down here. I haven't seen the drone show from the Disney Springs side. We will, and we will soon, but we did catch it last night from here at Saratoga Springs, and I thought that it was super cool, though this isn't really the best place to see it. We'll talk more about that here in a couple days when we talk about the drone show specifically, but it still was cool and definitely awesome that it's a free offering for not only guests who are staying here, because you can see it, but if you want to see it, you don't have to pay for anything. Parking at Disney Springs is free, drone show is free, so that's great. And there have been some people that have criticized the fact that the drone show is free on social media because they're like, well, why? And I have to ask why you would criticize Disney for doing something for free. Especially so many people always complain about everything being so expensive at Disney. It just doesn't make sense to complain about a free drone show. But also, I feel like so many of you don't realize that Disney Springs, especially the Pleasure Island side of, well, downtown Disney, they used to have fireworks every night. They had a New Year's Eve celebration every single night. So free stuff at Disney Springs, downtown Disney, it's par for the course. All right, making our way down this path now. Haven't walked too long, but it's been a nice little walk. Saratoga Springs is definitely a big resort when it comes to wandering around. People complain about that, but some people really love it. I think it just depends on the way that you like to vacation. Since this is a Disney Vacation Club resort, I think that the casual nature of being here is really appealing for a lot of people. And it's appealing for me, at least right now. It would have never appealed to me when I was younger and spending so much time at the parks, but that's a different discussion. Speaking of a different discussion, I want to talk to you about some of your responses to my question about the downgrade from Bay Lake Tower to the Contemporary, or the downgrade. Now, for those of you who haven't had the chance to join us for that conversation, the long and short of it is our last stay at Disney's Contemporary wasn't booked as a stay at the Contemporary. It was booked as a stay at Bay Lake Tower. And then like a couple hours before check-in, they called us and they were like, we have to move you. Anyway, you can wander on over to that discussion and hear everything that I had to say. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys is if you thought that that was an upgrade or a downgrade. And I was really curious to see what you guys had to say, because I really didn't know how I felt about it. And I mean, I don't know, I still have mixed feelings whether or not I feel like it was an upgrade or a downgrade. But it was so interesting to hear your perspective on this and hear all of the different opinions and what you guys think they should have done for us when they changed the room over. I will say, while I do feel someone on the fence when it comes to whether or not it was an upgrade or a downgrade, when it comes to our stay in particular. It was a very short stay. We fortunately weren't traveling in from far. I do absolutely see where so many of you are coming from. And honestly, the more I think about it, I agree. It is kind of a downgrade, specifically if you were hoping to have those amenities that you get out of a Disney Vacation Club room. And I know there are so many of you who are like, well, it's not that big a deal, but when you think about it, especially from the perspective of a Disney Vacation Club member who learned about this like just a couple hours before check-in, if we were traveling in from Minnesota or Massachusetts where we normally traveled from, or I mean, heck, if we had traveled in from Japan and found this out like last minute, we would have had a ton of food that we were ready to prepare with a microwave or whatnot, and we wouldn't have that. And it's not just a microwave. I know I said that, but it's also a toaster. There's also a small sink in those rooms. It's like a full kitchenette. And even though in deluxe studios you don't have access to a washer and dryer in your room, you do have access to a free washer and dryer, which you technically could have walked over to Bay Lake and done your laundry for free, I suppose, but that's quite the walk with a load of dirty laundry. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. The ultimate point I'm trying to get at, though, is the amount of money it would have cost to make up for not having those amenities that you thought you were going to have, especially so close to check-in time, makes me definitely feel like some sort of compensation should have been there that wasn't. We want to talk more about this with you a little bit later, but I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm just breezing over some things. Also, I am definitely not renting a story bike. I just kind of bopped over here because I wanted to see what the activities were here at Saratoga Springs. They do have some fun stuff. I'd like to do some of it. We'll see. All right, we've made our way to Artist Palette. Let's go in and see what they have for coffee. I could have looked at the menu online. By the way, they got some work going on down here. I could have looked at the menu online. I didn't, so we're going in blind, and I'm fine with that. So I was just perusing the menu, and I don't see any coffee up there. Doesn't look like they have anything like specialty that you can order. I did look over here, and of course they have the fountain drinks, and they do have Joffrey's over here as well. Let's take a look at the menu. and see what they've got. So there's the breakfast selections, and that's it. Nothing on the back. All right. Since they don't seem to have anything on the menu, let's take a look in the app. All right, so beverages, it looks like we've got the usual suspects. We're looking for coffee here, though. Let's keep scrolling, see what we can find. I would like a special coffee, you know, one that's maybe a little bit unique, something that tastes special. We got Joffrey's here, hot cocoa, we've got some tea. Let's see what else we can find here. Some other assorted hot beverage option. Okay, specialty coffees. We got a cafe latte, a cappuccino, and espresso. Is that it? Well, yeah, that's it. I think we're gonna skip the coffee. All right, let's make our way back. You know, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I am a little disappointed. It would be nice to have like a, I don't know, specialty floofy coffee. I don't know why the word floofy comes to mind, but you know, something with like the sprinkles and the cream on top. The vacation coffee. I don't know if there's any place you can get anything like that here at Saratoga Springs. I'm gonna have to search the app. Gonna have to figure it out, because that would be a nice way to start my day. It's all right though, it's not a big deal. Anyway, going back to the discussion about the changeover from Bay Lake Tower to the Contemporary, there was another thing that you guys mentioned that I thought was particularly interesting, and that was the size of the rooms at Bay Lake Tower. Now, I know that the rooms are like in desperate need of a refurb. They're about to go down for refurb. I actually wanted to get in there before the refurbishment so that I could see what the old room looked like. I know it's gonna be in really rough shape, but I still wanted to see like what it was. And like I said, we did book another room over at Bay Lake Tower, so fingers crossed we actually get it so that we can check it out. But I was really surprised that you guys said that the rooms were really small and cramped. That's something that, I mean, I've never heard before, but I also haven't had a ton of conversations about Bay Lake Tower. Now, as soon as you guys started talking about this, I looked up the square footage of a bunch of different rooms. And from what I could find, Bay Lake Tower doesn't rank amongst the smallest Disney Vacation Club deluxe studios on property. But just because it doesn't have the smallest footprint doesn't mean that it isn't the most cramped room. Another good example of something like this is over at Old Key West. The deluxe studios are some of the biggest, but because of the way that they're set up and used, they don't feel big. They don't feel spacious. So footprint isn't everything. But I do think that this is a super interesting observation on your guys' behalf, and I'm really looking forward to digging more into the floor plans and everything of this resort, Bay Lake Tower, and just seeing what it actually has to offer. And again, this is another one of the reasons that I'm really hoping I can get into Bay Lake Tower, because I want to do like a side-by-side comparison as close as I can. By the way, hidden Mickey, there it is, right there. Okay. Moving along. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining that conversation with me. It was so super interesting, and I'm looking forward to so many more conversations like it. I love just to hear the different perspectives. But anyway, moving on to the next thing. So one of you commented on something referencing live entertainment at Walt Disney World and saying, what was it that you said? Something along the lines that like Disney has been cutting back, or you've heard that Disney's been cutting back on live entertainment. You've heard that from me, as well as probably others. This has absolutely been happening, and it's definitely something that I've witnessed. But here's the thing, and this is where conversations like this one get tricky, is that some people, they don't remember what the situation used to be, and so they don't think it's a big deal. I just watched a snake slither across the walkway. Oh, his tail's still sticking out. He'll be gone by the time we get over there. If not, we'll say hello, carefully from a distance. But yes, there are snakes here, by the way. Just another thing to be aware of when you do your Disney vacations. Let's see, we'll be able to see him. You just like slither this way. I can't see him. All right, let's keep going. So anyway, yes, Disney has cut back on things, especially live entertainment, and they've done it in a way that they are known for doing things, which is carefully so that you don't notice it. Now, this is even something that we've talked about recently when we compare Universal to Walt Disney World, and I say that, you know, Universal does live entertainment better than Disney. I think they do. Specifically, when we talk about things like Streetmosphere, which, listen, I know some of you don't agree with me, and you feel very passionately about how I'm absolutely wrong on this. I totally understand that. Here's the thing. First of all, there's a bird eating a shellfish. Disney is always looking for ways to cut corners, just like every other business. They're looking for ways to save money and give their investors more return on their investment. This is no different than any other company out there. And in 2020, when the pandemic happened, they made a lot of cuts for safety. Totally understand why they did that. Even if you don't agree now, like hindsight is 2020, at the time made a lot of sense. But they used that, at least in my opinion, as a misdirect, because they never brought things back. There are a lot of things that they didn't bring back, and they've creatively covered it. We've talked about this before. There are a lot of things at Walt Disney World, the Wonders of Life Pavilion, which closed prior to 2020, but nonetheless, the whole animation courtyard, it's covered. We pretend that it never existed. Disney's not the only company to do this, but they are a company that does do this. And one of the things that Disney got rid of and never brought back was Streetmosphere. I'm talking about the citizens of Hollywood. There were people on Main Street, I don't know their official name, but the mayor would be wandering around and stuff like that. That's not happening anymore. That doesn't exist at Walt Disney World anymore. So if you haven't been here for a long time, you might not realize that, but it's true. Now, after a significant amount of time, okay, Disney has started to bring certain things back. We've got the Little Mermaid show that is coming back. I think it's this summer. I don't know the dates on that. Of course, this Encanto show. So things are coming back. So this might turn around. And just like I said in that comparison that we did between Universal and Walt Disney World, which we did one for each. By the way, that was a part 2. So you got really angry because you only saw one, but there was things that Walt Disney World does better than Universal. This might change moving forward. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, Disney has been making cuts, and it is noticeable, but only if you're looking. Disney does a really great job with their misdirects and keeping you busy and keeping you focused on other things. At least they used to be really good at that. They're getting a little lazy every now and again, but yeah, they have cut costs by cutting live entertainment, and it is noticeable for those of us who have been going to Disney for long stretches of time. All right, let's keep moving. Before we do, that's the bird that was eating, and this is another bird who has joined us. Lots of birds out today. Lots of wildlife here on our walk at Saratoga Springs. But all right, we've talked a little bit about this and that. We've answered some questions, some casual questions. More often than not, I like to sit down and have a good conversation with you centered around one comment and one question. But every once in a while, there's a little one that I just want to address, and today we pulled a few of those together. But I think that about does it, at least for the things. Oh, got a little lizard here, kind of a big lizard. Look at his, it's throat thing. I don't know the name of it, but it's all bright orange. Very cool, lots of wildlife. Anyway, what was I saying? I feel like that covers it for today. It's a nice conversation, wandered our way to see if we could get coffee. Unimpressed by the coffee selection. The question is, what are we doing for the rest of the week? I've got a lot of things planned. Oh, Disney Bunny! There he is! Disney Bunny! Just eating. Enjoy your breakfast. I've got a lot of things planned. There are a lot of things that I want to do. We're definitely going to make our way over to Disney Springs, do some shopping. I want to watch the drone show with you. And then, of course, we're going to make our way over to Walt Disney World. We're going to make our way over to Universal. Fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. Probably got some running around to do in Celebration and just kind of enjoying the area, the nearby area. I took the wrong path. Gotta go down one more. But I hope you had fun wandering around with me today. I hope that you had some coffee to sip on. I didn't. How disappointing. I'm just gonna have to go make my own. Ugh. No, I'm kidding. It's totally fine. I like making my own coffee. But I'm gonna do that. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about all these things. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you had for a coffee. And if you like fancy coffees, like specialty ones, let me know what your favorite is from wherever it is you get it, whether it's Disney or somewhere else. Tell me about it in a comment down below. But for now, I'm off. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.